Welcome to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you my low-carb lasagna recipe that only has 7 carbs per slice. This recipe uses cabbage in place of the traditional lasagna noodle, and you're going to be seemingly surprised on how the texture tastes almost as if you're eating regular lasagna noodles. Let's get started. We start off by taking a nice head of cabbage and washing it thoroughly. Now we're going to peel all of the leaves off of the cabbage. When we get down to the bottom, it might be easier to just cut off the ends, and it helps to remove the bottom portion of the cabbage. In a large stock pot, boil enough water to fit that cabbage. You want to cook it until it's nice and tender, about 10 to 15 minutes. Then remove it, place it into a colander, remove it, and try to get all that water out. Then you're going to take it and press it with paper towels or whatever you have to try to get as much moisture out of that cabbage as possible. If not, you're going to have a very watery lasagna. So this is very important to get that water out when cooked. To create the meat sauce, I'm using 2 pounds of ground turkey. And I'm a polo pescatarian, so I don't eat beef or pork. But if you want, you can add beef, pork, whatever you want. I'm adding paprika, chili powder, ground pepper, garlic powder, and salt. And I like adding these flavors because it makes my turkey meat taste almost sausagey when I add the paprika and the chili powder and the garlic powder and stuff. It's really yummy. So if you want to try it this way, it's really healthy and it's yummy. I also went to my garden and got some fresh oregano, and I've rinsed it and cleaned it, and I'm going to add that into my meat as well. It's really tasty, and I love the fresh oregano, fresh flavors of the herbs. If I would have had more herbs, I would have added more herbs, honestly, but this is what I have right now in my garden, so this is what I'm adding. Now I'm going to slice some portobello mushrooms up. I keep a wet paper towel next to me, and I just clean them off with a wet paper towel so that they don't get too moist when I try to clean them. This is a great way to keep them as dry as possible, and when you're making lasagna like this, you want no moisture. You do not want to add moisture to your lasagna. Now I add about 3 or 4 tablespoons of olive oil in a large pan. I'm actually using a wok because I can fit all my sauce in here and do everything real fast. Let's fry up that meat and get that nice and cooked. Now I'm gonna add in my mushrooms. When I cook this up, and if the mushrooms do release more moisture, I wanna take a strainer and strain out all the liquid I can. You do not want to have extra liquid because the cabbage is going to release more liquid. I'm going to add some dried oregano in here, Italian seasoning in here. Let's get all those flavors mixed in. Now I'm going to add about 1.5 jars of marinara sauce. I actually had 2 different kinds, so I'm just going to put them together. I'm adding this whole jar and this half of another one. You want to keep at least 1/4 of a marinara sauce aside for when you make your lasagna so that you can put some sauce on the bottom of the dish. So keep 1/4 of a cup at least aside. Depending on the marinara sauce that you use, if you're using one that's a little bit more watery, add in a can of tomato paste to thicken the sauce because you don't want a lot of moisture. There are times where you're gonna see me take a spoon and try to remove as much moisture as I can, any watery components. I want a nice thick sauce. Now I'm gonna take 1.5 containers of ricotta and mix it in with some dried Italian seasoning. Normally I put fresh parsley and basil in here, but I don't currently have it in my garden, so I'm just using the dry stuff, which is great. I have a mixture of cheese here that is mozzarella and mixed with pepper jack, but you can get creative and use whatever cheese you feel like for your lasagna. Remember that 1/4 of a cup I asked you to set aside? Lay that down now and then go ahead and start layering your lasagna by adding your cabbage. Now you're going to add this nice thick sauce on top of that. Go ahead and start layering your ricotta in nice big chunks so that you have that nice bite every time you take a bite. It's going to all melt together when you bake it. Add your cheese and another layer of that cabbage. I sometimes go 3 layers, but I was running out of sauce, so I went 2 layers this time. And I went ahead and just add that cheese on the top. Another layer of ricotta. And the final layer of cheese. Loosely cover with some foil as if you're doing a tent so that it's not touching the cheese. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees and bake it covered for 10 minutes. Then uncover it completely and lower the heat to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and bake for an additional 20 minutes. Then remove and let cool completely uncovered for 10 to 15 minutes. Getting support for your channel is wonderful, so if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed and you like this video, please subscribe.